There, we have been unmuted. The world can hear us. All of one. Welcome, 83 of Casting Shadows, where we talk about all things Star Citizen and escapism when we can. Looks like my streaming stuff. Oh, it's nice. Perfect timing.
Of course. Perfect.
Oh, there we go. So yeah, that was good. I don't think it paused the stream or anything like that. I think it just froze on my here, I hope. Didn't really miss anything if it did. We were just commenting on how my streaming software froze. Hell of a way to start though. But let's just jump right into we do the IAE stuff, get the big stuff out of the way. Because we got the IAE, Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. Event program came out last week. We got a little teaser video and either red herring that Jax McCleary, who's the Star Citizen's version of Jeremy Clarkson from Top Gear.
Yeah.
He might be dead, may not be. Let me see if I can put the screen. Their word. Not everyone with their nose to the glass on things Star Citizen, so
Join us for the Please Guide IAE special yet, with exclusive looks at all your favorite manufacturers. Drake CEO and an Arden. Plus, surprises and announcements you won't want to miss. We'll see you there.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. But IAE is an event they have in-game every year at late November. So this year it starts November 18th. Important.
And among other things, with so it's not just like a website or community kind of thing. It's an in-game event where every single ship manufacturer, so Drake, Handle, Aegis, Misk, RSI, Origin, all of them go and get together and essentially just go and show up. Hey, here's our ships, not just what we've got, but what might be coming up. And it gives also, too, from a gameplay, so not just a lore aspect of it, but from a gameplay perspective, there's also a opportunity to go, and every day that a ship manufacturer is showing their stuff, you can go and test out their ships for free for that day. So you can essentially rent them and just fly around, check them out, see, hey, is this something I like? Is it not? Whatever. And yeah, just once you do that.
Yep. So
and then usually the last like 2 or 3 days, you can go and check out every ship all at once.
Yep, so they pretty much just released the save the date for the event. It's November 18th through November 30th. There will be a free fly during this, so during the free fly you can test fly over 100 ships and vehicles in the game free. They're going to have details on how to access the free fly in the coming week. Obviously, as Cam said, there's going to be new vehicle announcements, whether they're flight ready or in concept or already past concept and currently in development. It's pretty much like a car show, but in space with spaceships.
Pretty much.
It's like a car show at the Javits Center, but in space. But yeah, there's also going to be special edition vehicle paints, which are known as the best in show skins, for the winning ship showdown ships. So that's what, the Carrack, Pisces, Scorpius, and Star Runner? Right? I believe that's all 4 of them.
Yeah.
So they're all going to be getting unique paint jobs that are in the IAE colors this year. Seem to be red and black because Drake is sponsoring the events. That red and black are their company colors. And we got the schedule. Day 1 is going to be Drake because they're sponsoring the event. Day 2 is Origin. I gotta say, I like this mix-up of the schedule. Usually it's like Aegis day 1 and day 2.
It seems like it's longer, too, than it has been before. Like, usually it's like 10 days. Now it's going to be something like...
Yeah, usually it's 10 days, but...
I think it's like 12, 14?
13. But the last 3 days are just the day 10, but... Remember, the last 3 days of the event are always just the best in show display, and then you have those terminals where you can rent every ship in the game free.
Yes.
For 48 hours.
And also, sometimes they've done a FPS gear Expo.
Yeah.
So don't know if we'll see that at all, but
it's probably going to be there. It was there last year and before that. So what they'll do is they'll have the bottom section where they usually have the ground vehicles. At the Expo, there will be a display of armor and weapons and all sorts of cool gear that you can just buy right off. And then behind that, or when you're facing that FPS display, behind you would be the terminals where you rent every ship for 48 hours for free. And it's like, okay, say you rented them on November 27th, right? Day 10 started. That's when that's going to be there. You can rent it. Your actually 48 hours will expire before the end of the event. You can go back and rent it again. Have it for another 48 hours after the event's over. But yeah, as each day is going to be a different manufacturer, and you're going to be able to rent their ships for free at the event goes on. Good lineup. I do like that they mix it up this year. So you're getting like Drake first, Origin second. Origin's usually like day 6 or 7. So yeah, and then we have the mystery of Jax McCleary. Because last we saw him, he was going into the Pyro system because he was having a midlife crisis. Or a post-midlife crisis. So now they're saying he's dead, but probably a red herring. He's probably alive.
Well, I mean, my expectation is that Jax, because last we knew, of course, he was flying off to Pyro in the Mist Odyssey, which is a new ship that has not been put in game yet. So my expectation is that he's going to go and show up at some point. But we'll see.
It does mean we're left with Jimmy, for a while, though.
Jimmy takes off his helmet, hits Jax all along.
I saw you post that for the leaks. Yeah, that wouldn't be that funny, but the Jax reappearing is kind of a given. I think if he's not dead yet, he's gonna come back, and it's all gonna be whatever. It would be ballsy if they kill him off.
But I only see them killing him off as a character if the voice actor decided, hey, I'm not doing this. If Jeremy Clarkson was like, hey, I'm done. But that's the only reason I see that happening at all.
Yep. Outside of that, I don't think they don't have reason to. It's great marketing, and
it is
fun with it.
Well, because it's getting that Top Gear crowd into Star Citizen. So it's like there'd be no reason not to keep on doing it.
Some of those old ones too, from 2 years ago or 3 years ago, those are great. IAE, the Whitley's Guide. It was originally called Galactic Tour as like a Star Citizen parody of a Grand Tour, but they changed it to Whitley's Guide. And in the lore, it is still canon that Galactic Tour was the thing, but they just switched to a different program.
Yes.
Just like in real life, where Jeremy Clarkson used to do Top Gear, then he did Grand Tour.
Yes.
So that's kind of why they did that. But yeah, it's definitely one of the fan favorite characters. I've heard people put him up there with Tessa Bannister from those old IC missions way back.
Oh, jeez.
And she was just a disembodied voice.
Yeah, I like those old Tessa missions. Like, yeah. I'm just at some fucking random ass like monitoring station, and oh shit, there's pirates. Hey, you want to do something about that?
No, she was the one that sent you out to the find the derelicts and stuff like that.
But it was because she was monitoring the ships in the area and saw like, oh shit, these are bad guys.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to go do something about it?
It was nice because for a disembodied voice, it had a lot of character and everything.
Yeah, no, it did.
Made up for
it. Hopefully she'll reappear down the line at some point.
Yeah. It'll be nice if they bring back some or at least either bring back or introduce new mission gears in a more interactive way. But yeah, so the whole IE thing, that's going to be pretty much just shy of a month from now, 3 weeks. I'm probably going to log in every day just to see what's happening. The event itself is not going to be anything. It's at New Babbage this year again. So, for those hoping that it was going to be at Orison Crusader, I'm sorry. But I think performance-wise, they wanted to keep it New Babbage, which means if the elevators break, it can't be settling again.
Well, I don't know how well that, because if it's at Orison, I'm pretty sure
No,
it's at
New
Orison.
Babbage. It's going to be at Babbage this year.
Are you sure? I thought it was Orison.
I haven't seen anything in person.
I could have sworn they were doing it at Orison. Might be wrong here.
I mean,
Especially too because that is this year's newest city.
This is New Babbage right here, so in the video.
Yeah, but did they actually say it's going to be a New Babbage, or I could have sworn that they said that they're doing it at Orison. Could be wrong.
I guess we'll find out, because
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with you because I have no idea. I just thought it was going to be a New Babbage given they're marketing it with New Babbage forefront. Between the reusing footage of the Nomads from previous IAE, or having the 999 squadron fly past the trains at the Babbage. Okay. Microtech and Eric shot. Okay, yeah, it's gonna be at New Babbage probably. Who knows? Could be entirely wrong.
For the biggest
A lot of Microtech. Yeah, that's the IAE announcements. There's nothing really. It's going to be IAE again. We're going to get more details in the coming weeks, so there's not really much to talk about other than got the dates now. And the intrigue of is Jack's dead going to keep the community talking and speculating about his death. I heard someone mention him getting by pyro crabs or cannibals. I made the joke about him getting killed by sun-worshipping cultists. The pyro system's not a nice place.
Shocking how that works.
So, I guess moving on, we did have a Inside Star Citizen Further Underground last week, where we got all the more info on underground facilities. They talked about when planning, taking into account many factors, which are what will they be and how many, how long will players spend in there and what will they do, and then themes of the underground facilities. And their structured planning is made using a tiered list broken down into content packs, screenshots of in-progress assets. The Microsoft Excel is also used to provide time estimates combined with tier lists. Even with all this data, unexpected issues can and will appear. That's just how game development is. Unless you're Marty O'Donnell, then game development is awesomeness will. Also correct. They also have in production. They currently have 93 different rooms and 196 overlay variations for both Stanton and Pyro.
Something like that.
That's a lot. That's what I liked about the Underground panel, CitizenCon, and now this follow-up Inside Star Citizen episode is this isn't like, oh, here's some underground facility reworking and updates to the game that you're going to be getting 2 years from now. This is no, we're probably going to be getting this like at the beginning or somewhere next year. I don't want to say beginning, but we're going to be getting them next year most likely. I hope.
Hopefully.
Again, this is Star Citizen, so it could be, well, look how ready this looks, and then we're going to push it 3 years from now.
Yeah, we don't know. We'll see.
That quote of expected issues can and will appear, that's just how game development is a very accurate statement, right?
Yes.
They also talked about the Gen 12 renderer and why it's a big deal. Obviously, the Gen 12 renderer, unrelated to DX12, new renderer to move on from DX11. The top-down re-implementation of the rendering engine massively reduces CPU submission. The end goal of Gen 12 is to allow CIG to utilize Vulkan graphics API. The entire purpose of it is essentially, because right now Star Citizen, like whatever graphics card you have, yeah, it matters how much video RAM, but at the end of the day, the graphics card really doesn't matter. And I know because I'm still using a GTX 970, whereas most other people I know and deal with, play with, they have 3080s or 3090s or even 40 whatever. So it's like I'm running on what used to be high end is now starting to show its age, but I'm still able to run Star Citizen no problem because the game is CPU and RAM intensive. It's CPU, RAM, and SSD intensive more than anything else, I should say. So because of that, having a Vulkan render API, the graphics API in Gen 12 will help re-assort what is being used, and this way your graphics card is actually doing its job and doing most of the graphics processing rather than your CPU. This way it offloads how much you're doing, and this way your computer doesn't essentially stall whenever you're at a major landing zone. We're also getting we're getting AI upscaling, ray tracing, multi-view rendering, which will be for VR later, and Linux support along other things that they can go on listing. Every single graphics feature needed to be rewritten and support every single feature in production. Engine is currently running in a mixed mode. Most of the code is running on legacy imports onto Gen 12, adding overhead. First implementation of Gen 12 is nearly done, being ported and attempting to launch in Alpha 3.18, but not a promise. Like their goal is to get it, or I can't even say a goal. It's just they're trying to get it out as fast as they can, and they're hoping that they can get it out before 3.18 launches, so that it can be in 3.18 patch. But it's probably not going to.
Who knows? I mean, it might.
On the topic of 3.18, though, Evocati is still testing with persistent entity. As so, nothing really new there. They're still testing. First implementation will be a "It Just Works" Todd.
Just works good, or like stunning shows.
So the quote, Todd, sweet little lies Howard, "It just works." Version of the big performance improvements between then and Vulkan release. Essentially, it's not going to be a major performance improvement first iteration. It's going to be the tier 0 implementation of it. So we're talking like, okay, they're now starting to move things over, and as we get more and more iterations of it, or further implementations of it, see more and more improved performance as they keep doing it. But not first time. You're probably going to see something depending on your hardware and all that, but probably not going to see significant, like, you're suddenly going from 20 to 30 frames to 140 or nothing like that. It's not going to be insane. But it will be an improvement, probably. They're doing... they also showed it off in the video itself. They showed it off. If I can, the footage, there wasn't a huge difference when they showed it off in the ISE. In that, like, performance-wise, nothing really changed. It was in the visuals. Now, because one of the problems that I've noticed with the CPU rendering all the graphics is you have some shadow and lighting issues. But obviously with Gen 12 and the Vulkan API, that's going to change, and lighting and shadows should, as you expect them to be, and not glitchy video game. They also did not start optimizing this yet, so if you were to go watch that footage, which I'll put in the description after this, I forgot to do that. It's not great, the frame rate, but they do make a point that say why. Once Gen 12 is ready, future tasks on Vulkan, render thread, and full multi-threading, they're going to be doing about the perpetual nature of Star Citizen. Once we get this thing, then we have to do this thing and this thing and this. So that was the Inside Star Citizen. It was a good, knowledgeable info dump inside Star Citizen. That was good. I would say the second one, many weeks.
Good.
I'm blanking on what was last week's inside Star Citizen. So then we also had a roadmap roundup October 26th, which was Wednesday? Yes, Wednesday. We got, obviously, Alpha 3.18 is currently in Evocati testing, targeting December live release. Probably going to be literally on Christmas Eve, not even like Christmas Day. And the Drake Corsair is set to release during IAE, so we're actually going to get the Drake Corsair during the Expo, which makes sense because Drake is sponsoring the event on the first day. We're also getting the release view of the roadmap. They changed some things up, so the Greycat STV has been added to the. Okay, it just cut out. In case that got cut off with on the stream, the Greycat STV is now on the roadmap because it's already in game, so they're just updating the roadmap to accurately match. New rivers in Stanton, additional rivers and lakes on Microtech and Hurston. That's been added to 3.18. Sand cave archetypes, which are going to be sand cave, are specifically in Stanton. Have been added to 3.18. Everything below this. Security post Korea reactivation is 3.18, and new missions Orison. Bounty, Assassinate, Clear All, and other missions added to Siege Islands when event isn't active are going to be. So these are all just new things on the release view of the roadmap that have been added. So we got some stuff that's been added to 3.18, and we have obviously the STV or the Steve that's now 17 game. So is what we know. But yeah, it's a pretty short one this week. In regards to like what happened with Star Citizen. Star Citizen's a pretty slow week. It's probably going to be another few slow weeks until IAE in November. We do have some leaks though. Talk about leaks.
Leaks? Oh no, not again.
On the topic of IAE though, we did get a map of the racetrack. Alleged racetrack.
We did, didn't we?
And it sucks that Data's not here to either critique or be giddy about it.
Yeah.
Because he is the racing guru. But we can comment on the Xi'an armor. So for those who don't know, Xi'an is is one of the alien races in Star Citizen. They're essentially sentient humanoid turtles. So think Ninja Turtles, but a lot bigger, older, and aliens. So we're getting a Xi'an armor set for humans. This is it. Pretty cool. It's pretty much exactly what I expected from the Xi'an. Very chrome metallic. Well, maybe not too chrome. Look at all that. I think it needs to be cleaned a bit. Definitely matches their aesthetic. And we also have a leak of the colors that are going to be for the armor. We got iridescent blue, red, and yellow. And this is going to be subscriber flare, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's supposed to be subscriber flare. So if you're a subscriber, I think next month? Is it November or December subscriber flare?
Don't know offhand.
We're going to go on a limb and say November, and if we're wrong, it's probably going to be December because they're not going to show you like 3 months in advance subscriber flare. So yeah, become a subscriber in either this month or next, because it's October 31st as recording this, December 30th tomorrow. Yeah, you get this cool Geon armor. I might even get it. It looks nice. Plus, it's very novel to have, I'm sure. I would like to see it with the colors, though, because my opinion on it might change drastically depending on how it looks, depending on the colors of it. You know, especially
That's what they want you to think.
Especially when this feels like it's going to be armor that you'll probably be able to get at the end of the day, like goes live eventually. You'll probably be able to get this game outside of the RSI website, but you won't get it in the specific colors that they have here. So I guess it depends on how it looks. Colors. So we'll find out in
The colors.
yes, you're British. Colors. Yeah, I mean, it should be interesting either way. We're probably going to get more information on it next week or 2 weeks from now, because we're going to get the subscriber flare update and all that. Actually, that coming out this week? Subscriber flare update?
Yes. I believe so.
It should be. Checking. October's PU and Squadron 42 monthly report is this Wednesday. Tuesday's lore post. Wednesday's the monthly studio reports for both Squadron and Star Citizen for October. I'm not seeing an update for subscriber flare, so that's probably next week, which is weird because we usually see that at the beginning of the month. Oh yeah, also real quick, obviously it's Halloween right now, and it is October 31st. If you haven't done the Halloween helmet hunt challenge thing, you have, at least if you're on the East Coast, you have like a few hours. You can probably still do it. This is one of the helmets you can get. Dynamic event week on Wednesday. Oh, all week. Never mind. Yeah, we're not. I don't see anything regarding the subscriber stuff. So, oh wait, never mind. Friday subscriber vault update. There you go. All right, so we're finding out what the subscriber flare is, which is probably the armor here, on Friday. Hooray. That's pretty. Unless data shows up in like the next 5 seconds, I think that's it.
Look at Guess not.
What was that?
Rest in pieces. I said, guess not. Rest in pieces.
Yeah. Maybe it's like Beetlejuice. Data. 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 Should have made a thing in the profile picture when I was making, where I can press a button. Well, we have some non-Star Citizen news. You hear about the whole thing with Henry Cavill?
Oh, yeah. Go on.
So, some non-Star Citizen news for those who are no doubtably aware. Obviously, Henry Cavill was who played The Witcher and Superman. He is leaving The Witcher, and he's being replaced by Liam Hemsworth, right? I think so. Obviously, at the same time, he's also coming back as Superman. He's going to be doing another Man of Steel movie or something. And apparently, the internet's in flames about it because it's always in flames about something. I'm not super versed into what's going on in that situation. All I know is that it can be a multitude of reasons, such as he'd rather play Superman than Geralt. Some sort of drama internally at the studio at Netflix with The Witcher, whether writer or whatever it is.
All of the above, who knows?
Exactly. We have no idea. More money. Scheduling conflicts. Maybe he wanted to do both, but he can only do one or the other, so he had to prioritize. Who knows? And at the end of the day, who cares? As long as we still, I thought he was a good Superman, but with poor writing, so maybe we can get some good Superman content. Finally.
No, you get worse.
Yeah, right. That's probably what
And you'll be happy about it.
No. But that's the news on that one. Henry Cavill's leaving The Witcher. Superman again.
Superman.
I will say I was not a huge fan of Man of Steel, so I really hope that they make this more classic, upbeat Superman, which apparently is what they're doing from what I've read in the report, but I can't believe.
Yes, but it's the last one that decided to change everything.
Exactly. Hell, look how Justice League turned
fuck you.
out. Justice League was, at least the theatrical version, was literally a last-minute change that decided the entire fate of the movie, so...
Yep.
Granted, the original version wasn't much better. I know I'm saying blasphemy to some people because the Snyder Cut, this, that, I just don't care.
Wow. Could you? You monster.
That's right.
How will we ever blame Canada in this economy?
Oh, there's always a way.
I suppose.
Yeah, that's that Superman Witcher news. Oh, also other Witcher news. We also have CD Projekt Red's remaking the first Witcher in Unreal Engine 5. So, and now every dog in the damn building is barking. I apologize.
Yes, bark bark.
But yeah, so they're remaking the first Witcher, which definitely was not it's The Witcher, so it's good, but it's the first game is very, very dated, like some other games that came out at the time.
Very dated.
It was dated when it came out.
Maybe not that bad, but pretty damn close.
Yeah, so they're remaking The Witcher, which is going to be on Unreal Engine 5 and all that. It's probably going to play similarly to The Witcher 3, I'd imagine. But obviously it's going to be the story and everything of the first game.
Everything.
Everything. And also we had Gotham Knights release ago, and that didn't go well, to no one's surprise.
Wonderful, right?
You and I watched the opening cutscene of that of the game last night, and it's like, here's a 16 minute and 22 second cutscene. That's the intro of the game.
Yes. Just
and it's not even that good. Like, you could have removed the entire, they should have done one of two things. Either you have the Batman fighting Ra's al Ghul, and that's it. And then it cuts to the characters, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. Or they could have cut the fight out entirely and just started it with the funeral. Because the entire marketing in the first trailer of the game was Batman is dead. That Batman's dead message. Everyone knew Batman was going to be dead, whether he comes back, whatever in the game. Probably
At least people were thinking he was dead from the beginning.
But yeah, you knew he was starting off dead. So it's like, why bother with the whole, we have to show him die? And I get it, in the superhero community, to quote Alfred from frickin' Batman Transference, in the superhero community, what's the phrase? You don't see a body, they're not dead. But I mean,
even when you see a body, they're not dead.
Especially in Batman stories, when you have the Lazarus pits, anyone can come back.
And they do.
But yeah, the Gotham Knights game, you thought that it was going to be good. I'm sorry. If you were like everyone else, and us included, that the game was probably going to be crap because it looked like crap, you are correct. It's definitely crap.
Unfortunately.
At least according to pretty much everyone I've talked to that has played it, and to various reviews, videos, and it's for yourself online. I mean, really, all you need to do is just watch those videos that compare the gameplay of, say, Red Hood or Nightwing from Arkham Knight to same characters in Gotham Knights, or just really any video comparing the two games and stuff like that, and you're like, I've heard someone compare the game to DC Universe Online more than the Arkham game, saying that's a more accurate comparison, which is bad.
Just, yeah, not much to be said there.
Yep. So there's your Gotham Knights news. Yikes.
What a shame. And it's it seems like that's the standard. And again, maybe, for me, maybe I'm just getting sour and cynical in my old age nowadays, but it seems like a lot of games are just going for that minimum viable
product
bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I can call it a product.
No, you can't.
Really.
Especially when it's charging you $70. According to this, Gotham Knights is $70. It's only for Xbox Series X, PS5, and PC. And it's locked at 30 frames. The game can barely handle you running around, free roaming. Yeah, that's minimum bullshit. It is. Well, it's maximum bullshit, minimum effort. And you're not, I mean, maybe you are, or maybe we both are, because I've been thinking the same thing. Everything you see nowadays is just crap. I've been replaying older games because there's nothing really good going on right now, and I've just been in a weird place. So I'm like, hey, let me replay some Transformers Fall of Cybertron. I recently just replayed the entire campaign last month for the first time since, I want to say 2012. When it released. And that game is graphically more impressive than most games that have come out in the last 5 years, let alone gameplay and story. The story is better than most of the movies that have come out. I just started replaying Assassin's Creed Revelations. Same deal. Maybe not so much with the graphics. An argument could be made against that one, but gameplay and story is better.
They want you to think.
It's a shame. I'm not surprised. It's annoying where you're just seeing all this cool. We should be getting better stuff than what we're getting. Which is why we have Star Citizen. At least they're trying, right?
Yeah. Say what you will about how endlessly long the development time is they're fucking trying.
Oh, we can pretty much call it here unless Dana decides
What
to.
else to say on my end? Yeah.
I pinged.
Remember, blame Canada.
It is pretty fucking disappointing.
It is.
Because you get beaten down every time, even if you know it's going to be crap, and like you and I expect a lot of it to be crap and end up being right, because we know how predictable the industry is. Not just gaming industry, the entertainment industry as a whole.
Yes.
And
Unfortunately.
it's like, but it just beats you down. We should be getting good stuff, you know? Why is it that 10, 20 years ago we're getting this amazing content with amazing art styles and visuals and storytelling and gameplay and graphics aside, the gameplay and storytelling. But now, obviously now it's been homogenized and corporatized and in some cases to boot added the political bullshit in there.
Yep. And I don't know too, because I've seen people making comments on some of this stuff here and there. It's like, yes, games have often been political or politicized. I mean, for example, Fallout. I talk about Fallout a lot. Yes, there's a shit ton of political stuff in Fallout, but it's in there as either satirical or it's self-contained commentary on here's this fictional world we made and here's the goofy shit that happened that the rest of it, you know, when someone outside of the system looks at it, we go and roll our eyes and go, yeah, that's fucking stupid. Versus a game that goes and hits you over the head with, these are my opinions, and if you disagree, you're a horrible person, kind of shit.
You mean like a David Cage game?
I don't know, what does he mean?
Whatchamface, that the androids racism game.
Whatchamface.
The androids game human? That came out, Detroit Become Human, and
didn't play that one.
I saw someone play it.
There's a difference between telling a story and beating someone over the head with your own moralistic subtext in a game.
Indeed. It's the difference between old Star Trek giving you options, essentially telling you something and then asking you to think for yourself, versus new Star Trek telling you how something should be and you're wrong for thinking otherwise. I just use Star Trek as an example. I can go on listing several dozen examples of different
when you look
media.
At both the original Star Trek and Next Generation, and honestly, pretty much everything up until Picard, all of it was again coming from either.
Well, no, because What's-Face came up before that, I believe. STD.
No, you're right. Yeah,
Discovery.
But for the most part, everything, like all the stories, was about, like, even if you do disagree with a character, or, you know, if you disagree with the oh shit, I just died. Even if you disagree with Picard and crew or whoever's, you know, whoever the good guys are, it wouldn't even necessarily be like you're a horrible person for disagreeing with the hero character. It was more of a, hey, look, the way you did things might not have been best, but it was coming from a perspective of, but we can go and live and learn and become better together. It was from an inclusive point of view, not a, well, you're bad for disagreeing with us and you're always going to be bad unless you go and repent, sinner. It's very much a religious bent. People who do this kind of shit,
it's a cult
very much
mentality. It's a cult mentality where, it's a faith, it's a religion. You think this way, otherwise you're blasphemous and you're a heretic. And it's funny because before the podcast tonight, I was on the phone with my brother and we were talking about, because he saw something fascinating about Magneto, which he knows is a character I really enjoy. And we're talking about Magneto and how, like, here's that sympathetic villain done right. because I know I've been complaining to you about how we have way too many sympathetic villains lately, and I kind of miss the old. Here's the bad guy, but they don't have some empathetical, whatever past that makes you understand why they're a villain. It's just they're the villain because they want to be bad or they are a bad person. Like they don't have to have a reason, or at least none has to be given to such length as we do, like say Thanos in the movies or whatever. Because for those who know, Thanos honestly, in the comics wanted to sleep with death incarnate, and that's why he killed people.
I would honestly say that Thanos from the comics, and I mean, obviously, of course, with comics, you have a lot more time and you have a lot more available media to roll your story out.
Oh, yeah, and you have more leeway in what you can do because it's the limitations of the mind of the artist and the writer versus movies. You have to limit things based on what really could exist in the real world.
Oh, and on top of which too, it's like you've got all of 2 hours max to go, and 2 to 3 hours to go and
versus
tell your story.
A comic book that can be anywhere between 22 to 96 pages long, or even more if you're going to
in one book, and then of course you can have multiple books in a series, and you can build one series off of another, etc. But I would say that comic book Thanos was honestly so with the whole mentality of I'm trying to bone death, so I'm going to kill a whole lot of people here. I would argue that was better than what we got from movie Thanos.
I agree.
Although,
but
and part of the problem is that
it was the execution.
And again, if you understand the source material, you know kind of the background of it. But the way it got presented, even with them going and saying, okay, we're going to take out the whole, he's trying to bone death thing, which, okay, fair enough. I can understand several reasons why they
some
want to
things
tone
don't
that down.
Translate to other media. For instance, some costumes in comic books don't translate well to a live action format, just like how some live action things don't exactly. Whereas some things don't translate well to a comic book format from live action or to a cartoon or video game. Different media require different necessary changes, but overall, you do want to keep things, if you're adapting something, you do want to keep things as close to the original as possible, mind whatever you need to change, because it's absolutely necessary due to the fact you're changing the medium of the medium. We talked about this during our Halo TV show trailer reaction way back in January. It's the same concept. And with with Thanos, in the comics his motivation was more clear because of that. Because it was simpler, it was more clear. And at the end of the day, look, the entire story in the comics is kind of, I don't want to say bogus, just it was silly. And I'm a huge comic book guy, and I'm like, because to me, they're better Marvel crossovers they could have adapted, so I was never a huge fan of them doing the whole Infinity War and Endgame stuff and everything like that. I didn't even see Endgame. I've seen clips, but I wasn't a huge fan of that just because, to me, I'm like, oh, so they're adapting one of the worst 90s crossovers of the comics. Okay. Because there were better ones.
Right.
There were better ones out there. And plus, they couldn't come up with their own. Yes, Thanos is a big name character, and I know in the comic book community he's pretty much just Marvel's version of Darkseid. But Darkseid's definitely a more intimidating villain, even though he doesn't have as much power at least with Thanos, when he has the Infinity Gauntlet. But that's also more impressive because he has more power, and also Jack Kirby's a genius. But the whole thing with Thanos is, in the movie, they really hit you over the head with his backstory and why he's a villain and blah blah blah. And it gets tiring. It's obnoxious on the writer and movie side of things.
If they had described it better, I think.
Yeah, it was absolutely the execution. Would have gone. That's what I'm saying.
Part of the problem too is, and if I remember right, at least in some versions of the comics where they're talking about Thanos and his reasons for this stuff. we get from the perspective of other characters, essentially no one else except Thanos and like Deadpool and a handful of others can even see death. And so a lot of other characters, when they see Thanos acting like this, they essentially just think he's fucking nuts. Because he's like, essentially talking, he sees death standing in front of him, essentially telling him like, dude, I'm not interested in you. Or what you've done is of no interest to me. He's like, well, I must kill more people to impress her, kind of shit. Whatever else is just like, dude, you're fucking nuts. There's no one there. If they had played more into that, because it's like obviously people were the rational person who's like, I'm trying to save the universe by killing half the universe, so there's more resources for the remaining half of the universe. It's like they could have worked with it, but if they, I think they should have played more into the madness aspect of it, or kind of showing, kind of like how if you ever watched The Last Airbender, kind of like how at the end couple of episodes they showed Azula, the princess of the Fire Nation, and one of the main bad guys,
and she's
kind of
lost her
descending very rapidly into this madness. And if they had showed maybe not something quite as rapid, but something along the same lines of Thanos essentially showing more of this, because at first we're seeing he's this calculating, masterful, behind the scenes, always in control kind of thing. And just to see that control start slipping, to see that facade breaking and seeing the madness underneath, because it's like obviously a rational person
the Mad
doesn't go
Titan.
and see.
You don't really see anything. The
Exactly.
only mad thing he did was thinking that he can save people by killing them. Which I guess is saving them in a way.
It would have been interesting to see if they had played more into that, and just like a little bit here and there, a hint here, a hint there, as scenes played out. Otherwise, as they did, I feel like that would have worked better, because it's again showing that this guy isn't, because again, up until Thanos was killed, and I mean we do see a little bit of he comes back, Thanos from the past during Endgame. Thanos from the past sees what Thanos of the future did, and how no one is appreciative that he just killed off half of the universe here. And he kind of does go into the, well, if you won't go and give me the accolades I deserve for helping you, I'll make a new universe where everyone is happy. And it was kind of like that was the closest we ever got to it, but it was like they should have shown more of that madness aspect of
because someone who's mad
this guy
and
wants
crazed,
to kill half of all life. Like, come on.
Well, the problem is you gave him a superficial goal. Like in the comic book, the first thing he did when he had the gauntlet was kill half the universe, just to test it. That's like it wasn't like, oh, that's my goal. It's like, no, it was just like essentially a test. That's like, whereas what, MCU Thanos is just, he's straight-faced Lobo from DC Comics.
Yep.
He's straight-faced Lobo. The last survivor of his race.
That guy was a fucking idiot.
But Lobo was the main man.
No.
Yeah, he is definitely a fucking idiot. No, but that's my point, is that this is, like, that's how poorly written I thought it was. And, that's, now we're getting all sorts of villain movies. I know Black Adam's supposed to be good. I haven't watched it. I'll probably watch it if it comes to HBO. Probably definitely coming to Max, but I don't know when. But if it comes to HBO Max, because I have that, I'll watch it there. I'm not rushing off to a theater to watch it though. But they had Morbius last year, and they made Venom, 2 Venom movies, Joker movie. And I get it. Some of these movies are good. By some, I've heard really only the Joker one is, but I don't know. Just to me, it's like, why are you making movies about villains? Especially villains that don't exist without their hero counterparts. Joker doesn't exist without Batman. In most continuities, including the main continuity.
Well, I mean, and that's always one aspect that Joker the Joker character usually hits on in pretty much all media is that Batman is the yin to his yang.
Yep.
And because you could very easily see someone going through the kind of situation that Batman did and breaking and becoming a criminal, as we've seen some of the backstories of some of the various villains and stuff that he fights against. It's like, this could have been Bruce, potentially speaking. And yet he said, no, I want to go and make sure this never happens to anyone else again. I want to stand against it. Whereas Joker is just chaos incarnate.
Yep. And what's interesting is how, because I just rewatched Dark Knight the other night, and in it, you have the Joker is always one thing they really got right with Joker in that movie. He's always putting a different story with the I got these scars, right, which is a callback to the Killing Joke comic, and where what's the Joker's origin, like true origin. No one knows. Like before he was the Joker, or even before the incident that made him the Joker, you don't have an origin. Not really. That's the whole point. Your origin is his origin's multiple choice. Like you're not supposed to know. That mystery and intrigue.
That he kept changing the story.
That mystery and intrigue is what keeps the Joker interesting. It's the same reason why the Forerunners were interesting in Halo prior to 343 taking over. Because you didn't know anything about them. Not really.
Just that humanity somehow kind of sort of tied into this, but we don't really know how.
Right. All we knew was they were called Forerunners, and all of their devices call us Reclaimers. Humans Reclaimers. So that's really it. It's like we must be connected in some way. But you don't, like, they were really good, obviously, Joe Staten, the writers, Halo, and obviously writers of Batman back in the day, they were good at like dropping hints to make you think about it, but they would never give you an answer because that would ruin it. Because there's nothing more. The best writer is your imagination. Like the reader's imagination is going to beat any canon explanation for anything.
Well, and that's why too you see in some of the best horror stuff is stuff where they don't just, because it's like, if you have like Slenderman chasing you around, or I should say, if you have like Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger chasing you down a hallway, it's like, okay, that's a known entity. But if you have something like Slenderman, who's just like, and they're just like gradually, slowly coming toward you, and you can run, but they keep coming. I mean, ironically enough, it's literally persistence hunting, which we as humanity have used, and it's literally like our own fears is pretty much like our strengths taken up to 100, because it's like, oh hey, imagine you killed this thing, but it comes back.
I mean, that's kind of why the original Terminator is like a sci-fi horror flick. The Terminator, it will not stop until you are dead, right? Like, it'll just keep coming.
Exactly.
Just a more, less fantastical version of that. So, but the whole, like, that entire concept, that's what made the first two Alien movies work as horror films. Obviously, Aliens is a lot more action-packed and definitely less horror. But in the first two movies, especially the first one, you don't know anything about this creature. You don't know what the rules are. All you know is that this thing's coming for you and seems unkillable due to acid blood and everything like that. It wants you dead. In the second movie, all you knew was, okay, you knew the rules a bit. You knew that this thing comes from an egg that has a face hugger in it, latches onto your face, then an embryo, then baby, chest burster, and then grown alien that has acid blood running around with knife tail and all, and second jaw thing. Okay, but then you learn that how the hives are made and that there's a queen. Like the whole concept of the alien
was adding
movies,
enough to keep changing the rules on you that you were like, okay, even though I know more, I don't know enough.
Right, and then, but the way they did it was the more you know, the more you were scared of it too, because now you know how it works, and that was a terrifying thought, because the entire message of the Alien movies was kind of the fear of the unknown, not like, oh, you should be afraid of what you don't know, but it's like, no, the unknown of space can be very scary because you don't know about it.
You don't realize that this thing you've just done is something that you should have never have done, and you've
Exactly.
just doomed the planet to know.
But yeah, that goes into the whole mystery and intrigue thing, where nowadays everything has to be over-explained with exposition. I swear they
Not
better
even
name
good exposition.
Basil exposition. Not character.
Anywho,
Yeah, that's. How did we get in this rabbit hole? Oh, right, movies and media and games sucking today.
no, you're just bitter. You're just old and
I
bitter.
probably am, but I'm also right.
I thought you were a Mando.
Right, Mando.
Nothing
goes-
even gets that reference anymore.
Oh well. We'll just age every day that more shit happens. Yeah, I think we've nailed that coffin shut. Wanna close it out? Or do we want to keep talking about random nonsense? Fun time.
Well, supposedly, I don't know if we hit on this too much. Supposedly, with IAE, we're going to be getting a medical Pisces. Your
Oh
thoughts?
yeah. The
Along with a
alleged
unknown
medical
great ship.
Pisces. So let me get the footage on the screen. So there is a medical, possibly medical Pisces, which obviously is a Pisces, but painted red with weeboo lights, as they call. And yikes. Sorry about the audio there. I can put the Star Citizen back. And obviously you'd have a tier 3 bed, because it's a Pisces, so be able to accommodate a tier 1. But yeah, you had this scene here with a medical Pisces, allegedly. Now, the reason why I say allegedly is because IAE this year is red and black, which means the best in shell skin, which the Pisces is getting one, would also be red and black. So this could
that's
just
red
be...
and white.
Well, yeah, well that's why, and then there's the lights, which why it might be a medical Pisces. So, yeah, I mean, it's probably not going to have any cargo space, or not much. Back there, it's probably going to be a bed in the back where the cargo is. I wonder how they're going to do that without really causing obstruction for walking, because AI have to walk in there too.
My assumption
The bed's going to be on the
is
side.
that it's going to go and take up a entire 2 SCU cargo space.
On the sides, yeah.
Yeah, so essentially you walk inside, and where right now you can walk into either like the left or the right cargo section, one of those would be fully blocked off with the medical bed, medical supplies, screens, etc. And so from there, you would be able to go and get in the bed, get out of the bed, interact with the bed to go and control stuff on it. And then I would hope the other 2 SCU space would still have cargo space, because that would be where you would be putting your actual medical supplies, which you're going to need those. But
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
and I do,
They
and I
could do
do
a-
think.
Sorry.
I'm going.
Oh, I was just going to say, they could do a Cutlass Red, where there's a bed on either side. I don't think they will, but I'm just saying that...
They could do a Cutlass Red where they what?
A Cutlass... They can pull a Cutlass Red move where there's a bed on either side.
I don't think they would
I don't
do that
think
just
they're going to
because
either,
it
but
would
it's
kind
a
of
possibility.
invalidate the Cutlass Red.
They're going to what?
Just because I'm assuming, because like the Cutlass Red, as it is right now, has 2 tier 3 beds. So the lowest level of bed, it's got 2 of them. Thus, I don't think at all they're going to have more than one bed. Just because that would essentially make, in terms of medical gameplay, that would put the Pisces on tier with the Cutlass Red, which I don't think they would want to do.
No, but I was saying that they could, in theory, depending on where they're placing the beds, because they have the cargo slots side.
They could. I don't see it happening, and I'm perfectly fine with them going like, hey, you've got essentially the Pisces with one bed. You've got some cargo space there for either regular cargo, medical supplies, what else you want to do there, whatever. I think that would be a good setup there without invalidating the Cutlass Red and its setup, I guess. Because also too, on one hand, let's say for example, and I'm assuming that the front of the Pisces is going to be the same. So it'll still have the 2 additional seats there for crew. So my assumption is if you go and let's say if you know you're going to Siege of Orison, for example, hey, I'm going to go and bring my medical Pisces here because this is a fucking dangerous environment, assuming we ever get to bring our own ships at some point. At that point, hey, if one of my crew goes down, well, I've got 3 crew. One person is going to be a pilot, one person is down. Okay, well, my third guy is going to be seeing to my down guy. And while we're going there, the pilot can also be actually like actively guarding the other 2, weapon up while the one guy is carrying or moving the wounded guy. There you go. Because the Pisces has a max crew of 3. There you go. Versus Cutlass Red, if you have 2 beds, you would potentially need 2 attendants, 1 for each bed, on top of the pilot. So I think it all kind of works out there, but we'd have to see how they do it. Plus, let's see.
Yeah. Hopefully they're brighter than they are on the Cutlass Blue.
How dare you?
They're not that bright. How are you supposed to tell that it's an emergency vehicle when you can barely make out the emergency lights?
Carefully.
Also, I'm sure we're going to be seeing the Vulture again, most likely, because Vulture salvage. It's going to be the same as Invictus. We're not going to be able to do anything with it, most probably.
Not until
318
salvage is out.
Or salvage. Steamer. Oh, this is the Corsair. The wings.
Well, and then you have, so in addition to the potential medical Pisces, there's also a potentially unnamed unknown Drake ship that was shown in the video as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that timestamp for it.
And it reminds me kind of the Federation dropship from Elite Dangerous. Just in terms of like those tail fins and the kind of arrowhead design that it kind of sort of maybe has. So it looks interesting. We don't really have anything to really be able to get a size comparison with it yet. So it's kind of anyone's guess as to how big it is. There have been, assumptions and crazy stuff going about, but none of us really know. Assuming, of course, that this is actually a new ship and it's not something else that they've completely, I mean, for all we know, a ship could be getting a rework, for example. Who knows?
Like, this could just be the freaking Herald rework. Granted, it's the least likely
or it could be the cockpit section of the Caterpillar.
Yep.
Because that's supposed to
no, because the engines. Yeah, but the engine back.
Well, if they were to rework the Cat.
True.
Because I mean, they're going to have to do significant work just for modularity. So potentially they might have redone the entire cockpit module section, even if they leave the rest of the ship alone.
Heard people saying that the end are similar models to the Caterpillar engine sides. Not the ones facing down, though. I'm trying to imply that this thing. Who knows?
Yeah, well, but again, we don't know. We don't have enough information to really be able to get anything on it yet.
We'll find out November 18th.
Yeah, well, because Drake is the first.
Yep.
First one up, so we will get that information pretty quick.
Yep, there'll be a Whitley's guide video on it, no doubt. We'll probably see a either hologram model for it if it's a concept ship, or if it's a flight-ready ship, we'll see it on the show floor.
I heard some people theorizing it could be a some kind of a Drake ship that's made to carry something along the lines of a Nova tank, like size-wise.
Maybe.
I mean, it would be interesting. Just
goes in line with that it being large, and it does have a giant ramp
way.
in the rear, or at least has the shape of one.
And on top of which, too, we have so few ships, even for ships that were slated. Right now, I think we have 4 ships that can carry a Nova tank.
Not including variants, we have the Hercules. We've got
the 890 jump.
The 890 jump.
The 600i rework will be able to carry a tank.
Okay, but that's not in game right now. Right now, it's just the 890 and the Hercules variants. So that's technically 4 ships, but.
And the Legion, or not Legion, Liberator,
which is in concept along with the rework of the 100.
Yes.
So you have a total of 4 ships, or technically 7 with variants, but no, sorry, 6 with variants, but 4 ships that can carry a tank, and the name of them, the Spartan Atlas platform, like the Spartan and the Ballista.
What's that? I wanted to like it, but just the fact that they made it so big. Yeah. Again, it's like, great. Pretty much no one can use this.
It would be nicer if there were roads on pretty much every location to go from one location to the other, so you don't have to rely on a ship for transport. But it's definitely limiting.
Or just, I mean, there's zero reason to really even use ground vehicles in the game as it is.
Well, that's a different problem. That is a completely different problem, but it does add to the problem of the ballista and whatever. But the lack of reason to use a ground vehicle is a completely different issue to them prioritizing the Atlas platform over something more sizable like the Ursa rover, because that can fit in more.
Speaking of which, given the STV, which we've now gotten, which is essentially
it's a Land Rover.
Yeah, it's a cross between the Cyclone and the original PTV we got, so the golf cart. It's a cross between the Cyclone and the golf cart, leaning more toward the Cyclone. It's a 2-person carrier. It's got 2 individual weapon racks,
just like the Cyclone.
1 for each person. It has a slot on the back that opens up for 2 handheld boxes. So if you're doing box missions, that's your fucking delivery truck right there.
And you also have essentially a trunk for
it has a trunk, and you can put. I think you can even fit a whole set of armor in there,
which is great.
Yeah. So I mean, they definitely did a good job with it, and pretty much everyone I've seen who's talked about it is saying this is a good vehicle. So because of that, I'm definitely looking forward to the rework for the Ursa, because that should mean that we're going to go and get something decent with it. I don't know what it'll exactly look like, because bear in mind too, the Ursa originally was slated to have 4 SUs, same as the Pisces. And I don't see that really happening as it is. The vehicle would have to get a lot wider to fit that, and it can't do that because it's supposed to fit in a constellation. So unless they
Yep.
go in and make
And it
that
just fits
wider,
inside the constellation as is.
yeah,
So.
barely. Now, of course, they could go and end up reworking the constellation to go and be able to fit it.
Which they should
Or
do
at
at
least
some point.
the cargo section of the constellation to do so.
I feel like 90% of it needs interior rework anyway.
Oh, it really, honestly, just the constellation suffers from the issue that it was one of the first ever ships.
Yep.
And even though it's gotten some adjustment, I think it's had 2 full reworks over time. But I mean, I think the last one was 2016, something like that.
I want to say it was 2015, but it may be 2016.
Somewhere
around
but
there.
either way, just it needs a lot of TLC, and it just doesn't seem to be getting it at all. But for the Ursa, yeah, they can't really change the dimensions of it too much because it's got to fit on some of these ships that are very. I mean, really, it's meant to go with the constellation.
It was part of the marketing for it, both in game, like in universe and out on the RSI website.
So it's like they've kind of gotten themselves stuck in a rock and a hard place there. So don't really know how they'll do that. I anticipate they'll just go and say, "Hey, look, it's not going to carry 4 SU. Sorry, people." But or I suppose, and I actually just thought of this, given the work on the Mule, they could have exterior, an exterior cargo holder for it.
Possible, like an attachable.
Yeah.
Just tie them onto the roof.
Because the part of the problem with it as it is currently is that everything is inside, which is nice from that perspective, but everything is inside. So because of that, it has some issues. But if you were to go and put the cargo on the outside, like how the Mule has, or something similar with that, to where it can hold 2 1SU boxes on each side, kind of thing, or other. I mean, for all we know, and again, now here's me really going in theory crafting stuff that'll never happen. For all we know, they might go and make the Ursa the first modular ground vehicle and say, hey, you can swap out the back of it, a la kind of how the Atlas platform is, but being actual modules. You'll be able to swap those out. One will be a cargo section, one will be a medical section with like a single tier 3 bed, one will have this, one will have that, whatever. Maybe. Again, this is just me fucking theory crafting. It probably won't happen at all, but who knows?
I think Data knows. That's why he's not here. Tell us.
Yeah. The fuck.
Actually, I wonder if Chris knows anything about the armor.
Maybe. Only if it has Gian writing on it.
That's true. Maybe it will. We only saw like a prototype model. Like that does not look like a finished. It looks finished, but it's not. It doesn't have the colors, and you can't
textures.
Get a look at everything. Yeah, at that angle, off, but that could just be material. Who knows? By the way, he's very well versed in the because he does all the fonts for it. Bother him. Yeah, who knows what they'll do with the Ursa. It'll be interesting if they do make it modular. I do hope they kind of start doubling down on modularity, because I remember CIG has an on-again, off-again relationship. Like, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, sorta. And that's kind of where we are right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's like, it's just, as you noted, it's kind of just like, come on, guys.
We just want the ability to customize our craft for the use and for it. Not everything. Like, for instance, I love the modularity concept for the Vanguard and what's the bomber, the Retaliator. I love the concept of that.
I had one way back when.
Right. I mean, but the whole idea of you can swap out the bomb base for troop deployments or living quarters or cargo, right?
Yep. And they actually talked about one of the bomb or one of the modules you could get for the troop carrier would actually be able to charge Titan suits. Of which we still haven't seen any of that. That's another one that would be really neat to see modularity of some kind, just in terms of, like, I would love to see. So for those who don't know, Titan suits in Star Citizen are essentially the power armor. A la they're
just shy of a mech suit because
they're an exosuit that's powered. You can hold some amount of ship weapons. I really hope they go with size 2 ship weapons for those things, just because they're going to be vulnerable as shit. And size 1 weapons already look like they should be handheld. Like, I should be able to hold a size 1 Gatling and have, like, a backpack on my back with ammo and just kind of, you know, like the fucking juggernauts from Call of Duty. Sure, I'll be slow as shit. You know, I won't be maneuverable, but I'm going to be doing, at least from an FPS perspective, I'm going to be dealing damage.
The idea of having, like, okay, say size 1 ballistic Gatling off of a ship. That is essentially just an M134 minigun.
Pretty much.
Which means you're going to need a backpack for ammo. But and it means you're not walking any faster than 0.001 miles a second, especially while firing. But at least you can do it. That would be cool. And maybe the laser repeater, essentially version of that, where you have the size 1 Bulldog. I think they're called, right? Whichever one, the size 1, the 117 laser repeaters. It's the same thing, but instead of a ammo backpack, you need a battery backpack. It's essentially like a backpack with those size 0 power generators that are on, like, ground vehicles.
Yeah. No, I'd love something like that, because that would truly go and flip around FPS combat and make for some really interesting encounters, I think. But on the other hand, again, this would be something that, if you as a player are trying to go and run around with this, you're going to go and have to store all this stuff, and that's going to be chunky equipment here. You're going to have it charged or get the ammo for it here. And from an FPS perspective, it's kind of one of those things of, you don't really want to use it unless you know you're going to need it.
But it's a cool option to have, because this is still a game.
Exactly. But who knows? Again, this is way out of crazy field theory crafting here. But no, it would absolutely be really cool to go and see that kind of stuff, I think. We don't know. But in this same kind of genre here. It would also be really cool if we were able to, in a Titan suit, because again, if we're talking that size 1 weapons, you can go and carry them on, like just handheld. It'd be really cool if it was like, okay, well, size 2 weapons, then the suits can go and hold. Because now you're also making it to where, because again, these are meant to be a FPS used combat gear. This is not something that you would be bringing to a ship fight, just because a ship's going to go and fuck you. Like an Aurora versus a Titan suit, the Aurora, even if you have a noob pilot, the Aurora is probably going to win.
Because the Aurora can carry more firepower, and it can it also has the benefit of shields.
You're literally able to move in completely through dimensions, and I doubt that Titan suit will be able to shoot straight up.
Not to mention the fact that you have shields.
Yeah, that too. I mean, I would be surprised if the Titan suits did not have shields.
Okay, let me rephrase.
Even then,
you have multiple shield generators that are probably more powerful.
Yes, because the Titan suit is, even if it does have shields,
it's probably going to be ground vehicle level.
Size 1.
Yeah.
That's still barely as much as I think the Aurora similarly has 2 size 1s.
It's 2 size 1s, and they're bulwarks by default, which are pretty good. They just have a really bad recharge rate.
Yeah. So it's like, just in every conceivable way, you don't want to be taking a Titan suit, at least as kind of described and how gameplay is nowadays. You don't want to be taking a Titan any kind of air vehicle.
No, it's meant to be essentially at least the way I see it, it's supposed to be like an infantry dominant platform.
Yes, absolutely.
If I had to categorize it.
Like if you were to go and board a ship, and coming toward your boarding party is a Titan suit, you're going, hey, I think I left the fucking oven on. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Which would, of course, be fucking hilarious, but...
It'd also be really cramped for the Titan suit, but that might make it more dangerous.
At least in most ships, I mean, even... I would say maybe the Carrack, with its large hallways, if the Titan suit has an ability to crouch, because I think it's supposed to be like 8-9 feet tall, something like that. It's definitely taller than a normal human by a couple of feet.
Yeah, it's just shy of it being a mech. It's essentially, okay, think not you, but like think viewer wise, if you don't know what a Titan suit is, it's like the mech suits from the later Matrix movies that they had in Zion, or from the Blue People movie.
I don't know if it's quite that big, but it's definitely right in that ballpark.
Well, I mean, those were pretty big, yeah. It's not that tall. I mean, all your limbs are still attached to the limbs of the suit, so it is still a suit.
Well,
but it is kind of bordering that mech line.
Well, I think in some of the original artwork they put out for it, the way they kind of had it laid out was that the thighs, so above the knee of the Titan suit,
yeah, your feet are right above the knee,
was your foot, and similarly at the elbow was your arms. So they're bigger by, like I said, that'd be a couple of feet there. They're bigger than a normal human, but not by much.
I have images when we get them.
But that would mean that, yeah, if you want to be going and walking around a ship or even a station with these things, you better have some tall ceilings here.
That is a horrible image, quality-wise.
But
yeah,
this
is
these,
the image that they
these
shared
are
a few years ago.
absolutely infantry vehicles. These are not vehicles, like it's not like a Nova tank. Now, you might be able to have a squad of these, if you had a squad of Titan suits, you might be able to have a squad of them take out a Nova tank. But a Nova tank could potentially go up against aircraft. Potentially.
I mean, it does have guns for it.
Yes, and anti-air defenses.
And missiles, right?
Yes.
But yeah, this is a Titan suit concept art and stuff. So
Yeah.
great.
Which,
box.
bear
You
in
can
mind,
see-
hasn't been updated in fucking forever.
No, at least not that we are aware of.
Well, yeah.
It's going to be in squadrons, so they're not going to
I
be
mean, for
sharing
all
a
we
lot.
know, it's done and playable, but
Yeah, which is what this image. See, like you're controlling. There's a control panel and everything in the chest, Gundam style, but there's your feet are in the lower leg, so you're still walking. So it's not a mech because of that one technicality. That's a Titan suit. I like how it got. This is probably the one time where I'm not annoyed at something having hind legs, just because of the way it works
yeah, well,
and the way it
also,
looks.
too, just
but
if you go and have, because again, with this being essentially a infantry support vehicle, I anticipate that this thing is going to, you have a couple of these deployed with your troops. Most of your troops are just general infantry. You have a couple of these as heavy hitters to go and take out the heavy resistance that they're encountering here. So, like, for instance, like if you got Siege of Orison, if Siege of Orison had Ursa rovers and Nova tanks and stuff, you'd have these guys going in and taking out all the vehicles while your on foot personnel are kind of leapfrogging up behind the Titan suits, taking out infantry, making sure nothing pins down the Titan suits, that kind of shit. But we don't know if that's what we'll get, because again, this is a concept we got years ago and we haven't heard shit since. So, who knows?
yep. I mean, I think the way it works, where your feet are right above the knees, I think that's the. We just don't know any.
Yeah.
And we
But
do
I mean,
like our
I'll
nitty-gritty details.
definitely get one when it comes out, assuming it hasn't changed too much from this. Because, I mean, who the fuck doesn't want their own suit?
Yeah,
Fuck
right. And you're able to store them in the Carrack's cargo bay.
Hell
And
yeah.
damn it, do I want to?
Oh yes, Mr. Pirate, my cargo's right over here. Take as much as you want. High
Dude,
velocity
Our
delivery.
our
Wait, what?
ODSTs are gonna be really, really OP.
Well,
just
we
drop
still
those
don't
cargo
know if
pods.
we're going to be able to do.
Yeah,
actual
we don't know if we're gonna be able to
drops
drop
yet.
the cargo pods remotely when not on the ground.
Well, not even that though. Just being able to survive the drop.
And
you know?
then
It might be
there's
like
that, yes, but
It might be if you drop that thing from orbit, all the cargo is fucking just gone. Maybe not. Who knows? You get a one of the Carrack modules is the A2 size 3 bombs. It's just a bunch of those shoved in there.
they're all primed for impact detonation.
Surprise, bitches!
Or no.
Okay.
Better yet, they're all tied to a physical pin style fuse that is connected to the ship. So when they detach, it literally pulls pins through a wire. So like when the box is detached, you just see this giant string with a series of pins hanging off.
Ideas. He'll fucking do it. He'll fucking do this shit.
Essentially a ship grenade.
That'd be some new age Star Wars shit they do, because apparently everything has to be fucking retro tech.
It's a
Yes,
ship
it's
grenade.
based on World War II. No, that doesn't mean all your inspiration should be only from it.
Yeah. I give Star Citizen credit though, they're not falling for that shit so far. Yeah, like if you
So
were to
far.
try, like I've had someone try like A2 bombing in space, and well, it's in space. The bomb just sat there, unarmed.
That's That's
just
cute.
idle.
Boom.
Well, no, I was in the blast radius, so I wasn't shooting it, but just like it was
Yeah,
essentially
shoot
it
the
was
fucking
a
ball.
impotent
Shoot
bomber.
it. Shoot it.
Impotent bomber. It was during Xenothreat last time that happened.
Oh, jeez, that was a while ago.
Yeah. Ooh, I have an interesting article on that Witcher thing, but apparently there's some news on that with some more reasoning as to why something happened, why he left.
Why, who left?
So much to no one's surprise, more so on what we were talking about earlier. Apparently, people on the Netflix series actively disliked the books, Project Red's games.
Oh, yeah. No surprise whatsoever. Although I will say, I think the first two, or I should say the first season, I haven't seen the second season, but the first season, they did a good job. Like, sure, some stuff was different, but I think overall, for the self-contained story they were doing, I think they did a good job with it.
Nothing new.
Unfortunately. But, and there's
Status
rumors
quo.
that on the earlier note of Henry Cavill leaving, there's rumors that him leaving might have been because they were going and
Changing things.
changing the story and stuff, and he was going like, "Hey, wait a minute, guys."
Yeah. Well, that's what that article is claiming, that was the case, where in the studio, the studio and the writers and everything were not fans of the material that they were adapting and making.
And that's
I know,
it's
but it's common. It's the status quo, which is worse. Like, that makes it worse too. It's like, this isn't just, oh, this is just unique to this one studio. No, it's happening in nearly every IP that has had some kind of media release in the last 10 years.
Well, and it's like with status, it's like everything's an adaptation to some degree, and to some degree there have to be changes just because of the material they're working with. Which, I get that. I'm just tired of all the bad faith adaptations to where it literally just seems some fuckhead gets control of a franchise. Some company goes, "Oh yeah, we'll give this franchise, go make a fucking movie," and they go, "Sweet, I'm gonna go and make my Machiavellian romance here in Star Wars," and everyone's just sitting there like, "Eh, the fuck?"
Or whatever it is in whatever IP that doesn't exist or belong, like, freaking underage love scenes in Halo. I mean, like, that's not okay. Well, it's not okay regardless, but that's the problem we have now. It's where they're using the media, the IP that they're using is just a platform for them to do, rather than entertainment, rather than escapism. It's supposed to be. I think we can go on all day on that one. Star Citizen wise, we did forget to talk about the Mission Commission episode of Star Citizen Live, where they shut off the prison gameplay. Nothing new for you and me. Like, that you can escape from prison. But they added some new stuff to escaping from prison. So first off, it's business as usual with it. You have to find the codes that you can get to the fan to turn off the fan and then escape through the tunnels. Or if you're adventurous, you can just go into the mining cave and work your debt off and find a escape route through there. But what they did now is they added, if you're in the work mines, there's a black, some of the areas are kind of like black zones, so you can actually interface with your mobi-glass next to the...
Where normal functionality of your mobi-glass in jail is cut off.
So,
or should be.
Yeah, so in the cave, you'll actually be able to use it, and you can see a message from Rudo saying, "Hey, you need an out?" And he'll tell you how to escape prison, where to look for the code, how enter the code in the fan. This way, for people who are new and don't know all this, it's a good way to introduce them to. And then once you're out, they added some extra ways for you to escape by. Everything else is still the same. The escape route is the same, but now they added a dead body that you can find at your screen now, where you can loot him, and you have to take the crypto key off his person, and then you have to escape as normal. Once you escape, you enter the code for the the garage, so you can get into the rover and not die. And then you can drive the rover over to a meetup where there's a derelict and a functioning Cutlass Black that's Hurston security. And you have to kill 4 security guards.
If I remember right, too, there is also, in the interest of making a clean getaway from prison. So there's a rover, which has long been there in the garage. You can fuel it, you can drive it, but you're fucking stuck. The nearest rescue station, or like first aid station, the nearest planetary outpost, essentially, to there, they're adding a size 0 or size 1 vehicle terminal there. So that means you can spawn ground vehicles there, and you can spawn the smallest of ships. So we're talking an Aurora. I think 85X fits on there. The Pisces fits on there. So if you have one of these, you'll be able to call up your ship and fly away. Whereas before, you always needed someone to come pick you up.
So yeah, before you always need to call for help. Whereas now you'll be able to spawn whatever ships. Like, it will not list all your ships there now. It'll only list what it can spawn, which is a change they made. But one of the changes they made is, so when you're at this meetup where there's a Cutlass Black derelict and a functioning Cutlass Black, and the functioning one belongs to Hurston Security, who are there to investigate the derelict. Obviously, you're gonna have to kill Hurston Security because they're gonna be like, "Hey, the prisoner, shoot him!" So you kill them. It'll make your crime stat go higher. But then in the derelict, I believe, there is a little uplink that you can use the crypto key on, and it'll hack your crime stat, and you'll be, because Rudo sent you on this mission. He's essentially saying, put the key in, I'll clean your slate, and then you're good, and you can do some work for me on the outside now, stuff like that. And you can use the Cutlass Black that Hurston Security left so graciously to escape. So now you have options. So choose to. Obviously, it's all playing out on the screen now. It was nice because it showed you, hey, you have options to escape if you are in prison, want to do some bad things.
Which is why we're now making prison that much more punishing. Not yet. That's part of the problem of Star Citizen, though, is it's like, we have space prison, except it's not really meant to be prison. It's not meant to be a punishment, but it is, but it isn't. It's kind of like, well, which is it?
The problem is that I agree there needs to be gameplay in prison, I say that because prison should be a punishment. That means, like, if you go to prison, you're going to be there for a while, so you might as well you need something fun to do.
Yes.
But you should be stuck there serving your sentence or trying to escape, which could be perilous if you don't know what you're doing, because the hostile world on the surface that has upwards of 200 degrees Celsius temperatures.
Yeah.
But yeah, right. Cause right now,
possibly go wrong?
Hmm?
I said, what could possibly go wrong?
But right now with the crime system, you're getting bumped. Like, they're changing this for 3.18, so that's good. You're not gonna be able to just, I accidentally pumped. Cam and I are in a party. I accidentally bumped into his ship too hard. Now I have a level 3 crime stat. Like, that's not gonna happen anymore. Stuff like level 1 and 2 crime stats are going to be just fines. You can pay them off. They're not going to have as damaging repercussions. Eventually, we'll be able to get the ability to just surrender instead of having to get ourselves blown up by the police, by AI stations, turrets.
I think you can do that now, even.
I've not had that happen, but I have not tried either, so I don't know. Every time I get a crime stat, the station immediately, because I was flying around and actually bumped into something and then wake up in prison. Yeah, they're changing things up, hopefully for the better. They definitely need to make being criminal more punishing and rewarding, because the whole point of it is reward. But at the same time, they need to fix the system so that you're not being punished because of a glitch. Or
One, they need to make what I really think they need in terms of the criminality, crime, justice system that they've got in game. They need to make it so that if you're, because there's always going to be people out there whose goal is just to be an asshole. You're always going to have people out there like that. You can't really avoid it. So what I want is something that'll go and make it so that if that is your goal, to go and just fuck with people, I want it to where you as the player doing that are given enough or a similar amount of, and again, I don't want to say punishment, because it's not necessarily punishment, but essentially the time it takes is, if I'm a miner, if I'm just your average miner, I'm fine running a prospector or a mole, and I'm just doing my happy stuff here, and some guy comes along and just blows me up from a retaliator. I just spent 5 hours doing this, getting my mole crew through the mining, through the asteroid field, and us gathering all the ore and stuff, and that's all gone. And like, okay, absolutely, there is risk involved in this. This is a potentially hostile universe here. But if I'm a murder hobo, and my goal is just to go and fuck with you, like literally my goal, it's not to go and grab the ore you would refine, it's not to go and make money off of your looted corpse, it's literally just, I'm here to just go and fucking kill you. I'm here to ruin your time, ruin your fun, and laugh the whole time doing it. Obviously the time invested for the miner is 5 hours. I'm pulling numbers out of my ass here, but they put a significant amount of time in terms of getting their friends all together, getting the ship together, getting out there, flying through the asteroid field looking for ore, mining the ore, etc. Boom, they're dead. There has to be a similar amount of time sinks involved for the murder hobo. They can't just have it to where they go to prison, they have a fun time there, they come back out, they do it again, they go to prison, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. There has to be similar time sinks put into this. So even if my goal is just to ruin people's time, you have to still invest yourself. Because it's like, yeah, if someone wants to go, and if someone wants to be like, hey, I'm literally just out to fucking gun you specifically, person number 1325, whoever the fuck it is, if your goal is just fuck this guy in particular, I want to blow him up, sure, you should be able to do that. But if you want to be a murder hobo, there needs to be a significant amount of time investment and risk investment to playing that play style. And just as it is, of course, there isn't at all. If you want to be a murder hobo, what's hilarious too, if you go, so let's say if I go and blow, let's say for example, I fly an A2 over Jumptown and I drop a bomb on there and it kills 24 people. Bam! level 5 crime stat, I'm wanted. I just killed all those people. They just lost all their gear, all the cargo they had gotten loaded up. It's all gone for them. Let's say immediately after I dropped that bomb, a retaliator that was friendly to the people I just slaughtered there. Retaliator comes up, shoves a couple of size 9 torps up the A2's butt. Boom! It explodes. I die. I go to prison. When I get out of prison, I get all my stuff back. I get my stuff returned to me, whereas my victims do not. How the fuck does that? I get it, but at the same time, it's like you're making it real fucking easy for someone to be a fucking murder hobo here.
Right now, it is definitely favorable
with current mechanics. People playing the game.
I can't even say it's favorable to criminals because there's not much criminal gameplay to do right now.
No,
it's just favorable.
It's pretty much just favorable to murder hobos.
Gonks and goons and griefers. So.
But hopefully someday it'll be better.
Yep. Hopefully with this new Korea thing, it'll improve a bit. And the worst part too is. I did
hear.
Sorry.
So with all the changes in Korea changing all that stuff, supposedly Security Post Korea is not going to be the only place where you can remove a crime stat.
Yes, that is correct.
How that's going to work, but supposedly that's how it's going to work. So, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, in real life, when you get out of prison, you're on probation officer and everything, or parole. I mean, we need an equivalent of that in game.
Just like I said, there has to be something in place so that if there's someone who, and again, I am avoiding using the term griefer because you have specifically the murder hobos who like to run around screeching, "That's not what CIG calls griefing." And it's like, sure, because CIG, the way they described it way back when, at least when pad ramming was the preferred method of griefers, the way CIG described it at that point was repeated targeting against an individual. And it's like, okay, but if I get pad rammed by someone, I don't really care if it's, obviously if it's happening repeatedly, but if two different people pad ram me at the same, run after another, I don't care that they're two different people. I care that I'm getting fucking pad rammed every time I'm trying to leave a place. It doesn't matter to me that it's two different people. I'm sitting here going, well, I guess I'm done fucking playing for the day.
Also, how do you know it's two different people? Because you're probably not seeing their name before you get pad rammed.
Exactly. Or, for example, if I go and run out to my ship, let's say, for example, I'm going to jump in my Carrack, and some guy hops in my elevator and is standing there going, "Come on, lower the ramp, I'm going to jump on the ship." Obviously, this guy's a bad fucking actor. Now I have to, wait for them to fucking get bored and leave before I can even do whatever it is I wanted to do? Oh, sorry, you only had an hour of playtime? Too fucking bad. I'm going to sit here and wait just so I can go and fucking set your self-destruct or fuck you over somehow. It's like, and I mean, obviously, stuff like that will go and come in later versions here with security systems on the ships and things like that. But it's like, there has to be an eye toward preventing this kind of stuff. Because, like, for example, when the medical tool came out, and supposedly CIG was pulling a shocked Pikachu face that, hey, some players are running around armistice zones and just overdosing fucking everyone they come across because they can. And this is a fucking surprise to you? There's always going to be people out there who want to ruin everyone else's time. You have to go and have an eye toward this, otherwise, hey, how come everyone's leaving the fucking game and no one wants to play? Well, when you have some people who get to have free reign to do whatever they want, and the people who are actually trying to play get victimized by the very gameplay system, pretty soon people are going to fucking leave. Like, seriously, no one wants to go and be victim number 53 for badass murder hobo pirate, the Blackbeard over here. And so if that becomes your typical play session to where you're getting blown up because I'm a pirate and that's and this is a PvP dangerous world, so fuck you. You should have no expectation at all of ever being able to play the game. Why the fuck am I ever gonna play it? Fuck that. I'm gonna go fucking play something else. So I'm not saying stuff has to be super safe here at all. It's not. But there has to be ways to mitigate that risk. So it's like as it is right now, like, oh, hey, if you're, let's say if you're moving cargo, and this is going to become especially important when the cargo refactor is in, because cargo will be able to move. Now you have actual piracy being possible for the first time. Well, as a lot of the murder hobos and some legitimate pirates point out, well, if you're moving cargo and you got attacked, you should have hired escorts. Sure, except the profit margins don't support it. You're barely, if you do 100 cargo runs, that barely covers one lost cargo run. You don't have the fucking margins to be hiring people every time you go out.
There aren't systems in place to accommodate a lot of this, and right now it is definitely punishing due to that.
It's like I said, I know a lot of this stuff will be addressed later on, but CIG has to go and have an eye toward this stuff. Otherwise, they're going to have a lot of fucking shocked Pikachu moments and surprised that, hey, how come players are dropping off? Well, if bad actors can go and just fucking wreck everyone's time all day, every day, no one's going to want to play if they're just going to get victimized.
And another problem is griefing, not griefing, but murder hoboing. Fuck it. Griefers have been a very common thing of late, especially more so of late, I mean. To the point where, like, you have people making videos on it, trying to, actually, beg CIG to do something about it. Or at the very least, the more realistic ones that are begging players to be acknowledging and aware,
proactive on it, yeah.
Which is not good, but it's because, again, the systems are not in place to deter this, where there's no punishment for being an asshole.
Well, it's like,
and there's no reward for being a good guy.
Well, as I've said before, if you want to be a murder hobo, if you want to be an asshole, you should absolutely be able to play like that. But, as CIG themselves have noted, it should be playing the game on fucking hard mode. And yeah, some of this will hopefully come when they expand out the reputation system, but it's like it should be that, hey, if you want to be a murder hobo, if you go around and just fucking kill people all the time because that's what you do, pretty soon, most areas should go and literally go and fire on you as soon as you come within sensor range. They're legal areas or even gray areas. Only the most lawless areas should even go and accept you, because for organized crime, like Ninetales, they're pretty organized. They're going to look at you and go, we don't want anything to fucking do with you.
Yeah,
we
don't need this heat.
We don't want.
And yeah, I think that's going to play a factor into that. You also have just there's a lot of systems that they have planned and they've talked about in depth that together will eventually fix all these things. The problem is we have to wait for them. Playing at the moment is not always the great. Especially when you have groups of people actively organized in briefing.
Although there was one group, I forgot what it was even that they did, but so there was way back when this was back in like 2017 or something like that, years ago. But you had an org that formed up, and essentially they were literally like, we're literally just here to go and ruin everyone's time. Like they were making they weren't even pretending to go and be like, oh no, we're legitimate criminals, even if we don't act like it. They were literally just straight up, yeah, we're just fucking ruining everyone's time. And CIG fired them as customers, by which I mean they gave them all full refunds and lifetime bans. They said, you are never going to participate in this game. Goodbye. Here's your money back. Get the fuck out. So I mean, there is an upper bar that they do have for bullshit they'll tolerate. So, and I mean, as we saw too with the medical tool, when stuff does come out and they're like, okay, well, this is really fucking unbalanced, they will go and address it. It's just we're going to have a lot of growing pains in the interim. But, you know, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the problem right now. Like, last few times I've played, there's definitely been some account of griefing. Not always on me. Like, other people in the chat are actively talking about it, and I obviously not seeing it because it's probably happening somewhere else in my position. But the fact that it's present enough that most of the time I'm in game, the last week, last week's played in the last months. Just when I was, I was in several different servers in just one day on last Sunday. Crazy how various griefing incidents.
One thing too to bear in mind with it as well, now that our game servers are
larger,
100, 120 players,
I think it's
we have a
110,
larger
yeah.
chance just by that of encountering bad players because there's more players in here in general. So, and I mean that'll that kind of stuff will go and keep increasing over time, as server population increases here, but hopefully that kind of stuff will be generally mitigated because no one wants to see racial slurs or any shit like that in a in the general chat. Like fuck that shit.
Or someone using like a soundboard proximity comms.
Yeah, no, fuck that shit. There really needs to be a way to fucking through voice channel mute a player. Like the fact that there isn't, like, come on.
Just a specific player and not.
Yeah, not the whole chat, just one person.
Agree. Or at the very least, people that are doing this should play some good music. Play some, Smithereens or Blue Oyster Cult or The Who or.
Like that's gonna happen.
Or Flight of the Valkyries. Just for kicks, because it would be more relevant. You're flying somewhere and you just hear Flight of the Valkyries, like, oh no! Da, 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 da. A squad of like
packing by your cockpit.
Exactly. It'd be great too if they're not coming for you. You're just hearing it as they fly by to either attack or defend someone else. It's like that'd be great.
It just keeps stuttering and repeating the first like you just have one guy sitting there on the fucking MP3 player just hitting the back button every now and again.
Eventually, once they get to the location, he starts letting the rest of the song play.
Yeah. Meanwhile, everyone else is pissed because they've been having to hear this shit for the past 20 minutes.
One of the players would OD themselves just so that when the DJ looks at the rest of the crew, they're like, oh my god, what have I done? Like the A-Team theme anytime you go to rescue someone. Well. lot of fun stuff you could do. Not looking at that.
I mean, if we get a medical Pisces, oh man, I'm definitely going to get one of those and just fly around and rescue people.
Yep. That would be really nice.
Although I still want to see a search and rescue terrapin.
Agreed. I was thinking the same thing just now too. Like, still rather the terror.
Just, I mean, the Pisces is definitely going to be good for a fast medical,
But the terrapin has
it's
the
not armored whatsoever. Yeah, it literally in the database tables, it literally has no armor value, not a low armor value, no armor value. Which literally every single other ship out there has.
Yep. But it would be interesting in regards to terrapin to have a better bed on it. A viable option.
Yeah.
Compared to the Pisces. So. Yeah, aside from speculation. Talked about everything. That's pretty much it. Nothing new at all the news. We covered all the news. I'm pretty sure 2 hours ago. Yep, that's maybe one of these days we'll play it again live. I'm not going to play right now. I'll probably live stream all the God damn it, the Expo.
Yeah.
But that's in a month from now. Yeah. End it. Call it quits for now.
Works for me.
Alright, well, that's, this is episode 83. Goddamn. Okay, now we're definitely ending. Starting to lose it. So this has been 83. Cast in the Shadows. Where talked about Star Citizen and other escapism related subjects, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed or at least found it informative. Catch you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, and happy Halloween if it's still Halloween for you. Yes.
Stay spooky.
I made this joke last year, so it's not really relevant anymore. But if you really want to scare someone, dress up as a politician with a needle and syringe. Because of all the vaccine stuff. Anyway. Yeah. I couldn't think of a funny referential scary costume this year to joke about, so I'm reusing last year's joke. Fun.
How could you?
I was going to use the bad comedy clip, but I clicked on the wrong thing. Anyway, so yeah, that's going to be it. And as we said, next week we'll probably talk about all the monthly reports that are coming out this week. And find out what they did to Star Citizen and Squadron in October. What progress has been made.
Horrible, wonderful things.
Maybe repelling? Who knows? But we're out of here.